3, 2, 1. All right. Welcome all to the Black Column Podcast. We are back. We are here once again. I am Jabia, aka the Crew Philosopher.
And I'm Shannon, aka.
I look, you had something.
No, I don't. I'm waiting for you to give me a nickname.
I mean, we could call you Shannon, aka the feminist. We could call you Shannon.
No.
By the way, guys, so I have no idea what Shannon's gonna call herself, but you guys should know this. Shannon is one of those people, and I did not know that until like 15 minutes ago. So Shannon decided that the best way she could spend her day to day would be to try and get the latest PlayStation 5. Right now, I refuse to invest any energy into buying these things on the day of for multiple reasons, but we're not talking about me, we're talking about Shannon. So Shannon is sitting by her computer in intervals of 3 hours?
Yep.
Yeah, intervals of 3 hours where Walmart is releasing PlayStations in bundles. So they release some like at 6, some at 9, doing that thing. So Shannon has been, I'm sure she's been doing some productive things today, but I mean, mainly.
I was working today too.
Hey, how much work should she get done? All I'm saying is Shannon's been by her computer, pretending to work, but really,
I was working.
Her eye was on Walmart all day trying to get this PS5 because she wants to play Spider-Man, which I love, by the way. I'm a huge fan of the new Spider-Man franchise. I love it a lot. But I refuse to buy any new system when it comes out.
I can understand why you don't want to buy any system when it comes out. Those are valid concerns. I, however, wanted to get it today because I want to make sure that I have it. Because I don't know when they'll be. I don't know, once they're all gone today, when are they going to have more in stock? I don't know. So, I just kind of.
Well, for a fact that they're going to have more in stock before Christmas.
I mean, yeah, but when? So they're not letting you buy it in stores, which I don't really know if that's going to, I don't really know when that's going to end. I understand on release day, they're not going to sell it in stores, but when am I going to be able to go and get it in the store? When can I go to the store and get it? That's what I would like to know.
2021, after the vaccine's out. That's when you buy the
But
store.
I don't understand why they're doing that, because if people are going to be in the store anyway, it's not like people can't shop in stores. Why can't I go to buy my PlayStation?
Because they know, Shannon, that people like you. Shannon's trying to detach herself from her own argument. The reason why they don't have it in the store is because people like her, people who sit around the laptop in intervals of 3 hours trying to buy something. You guys are all going to rush to Walmart and GameStop.
Okay, but there are safe ways to do that. Just like in the beginning of the pandemic, when you have people line up outside the store and you let people in small intervals at a time, just do that. What is the problem? Just
violence,
have people line up.
Violence, mayhem.
I guess.
It would be awful.
Right.
I totally get it. I understand it because everyone's not as rational as I am as far as just waiting. Just wait a couple of months. You'll still get it. It won't be any different. It'll be the same PS5. Probably with more space. The price will be cheaper, so you get $100 less. There's only pros for waiting. They just know people like Shannon just can't wait. Just can't wait. So I just want
to make sure I have it. I have to have these things because I have to talk about it on my podcast. Sorry.
You don't have to have it.
I mean,
now.
I don't have to have it, but
yeah.
I would like to have. No, I wasn't gonna have it now, but I would like to have it before Christmas.
I'm teasing you, Shannon. I'm teasing you. If the truth of the matter is, if I have the money, I'd buy it today for one simple reason. I hate not. So there's this YouTuber who, I don't know his name, but he's like a gamer. Mm-hmm. I like watching his videos, but I want my experience when I play the game for the first time to be my experience. And so it is killing me that he's on part 5 of playing Spider-Man, and I'm trying my best to not watch his videos because I want to be playing for the first time, my own experience. It's killing me. I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna make it. So I'm teasing you. Like you, I would be buying PlayStation 5 if it came out, if I had the money to afford it today. So yeah. All right. So me and Shannon are here once again, bringing you a news program, and this is not your typical news podcast, by the way, for those of you out there. The way I would describe us, Shannon is a black liberal. I am a black libertarian. Mm-hmm. That's what I am. Although I read a very interesting article today about healthcare that has me questioning certain beliefs, but that's for another day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was an article about single payer versus Medicare for all.
Okay.
And then a second article about, it was on Vox, where this woman, she traveled to like various locations that had socialized medicine, and it's talking about the pros and cons, and yeah, I went down this insane rabbit hole about healthcare for some reason. I don't know why, but it just had me thinking about what is the right wing's response to healthcare? And I think that's one of the weakest points right now.
It is.
So I will grant you that. So maybe, I don't know, I have a libertarian spirit. I always tell people that. I feel like having that is healthier. Like anything I can do for myself, I want to do for myself. But healthcare is one of those industries where, yeah, it's getting more difficult to make the argument that you can live in one of the most democratic and richest societies in the history of mankind, yet be the only country, literally the only Western country, that doesn't offer any type of guaranteed health care for your citizens. So that is something that is swaying my spirit.
Oh,
so I blame Shannon for
look
this,
at that.
because I was not this soft a couple of months ago.
This is not about being soft. This is about what makes sense.
Shannon, the old me would say, listen, if you die, you die. But I'm working on myself. Now,
what is the logic in that, though?
Well, here's my logic, Shannon. I believe when you grow the government, I think liberals like yourself have a favorable view, or play this, you guys have a less skeptical view of government than people like me, right?
Okay.
And when you socialize industries, you get something out of it, but you also give up something in return as well, right? You give up control, meaning you don't control anything, right? So education, New York State pays, I looked this up, by the way, we pay the most in the country when it comes to per child. So the way they calculate how much you pay on public education, Shannon, they have an amount that you pay per head. Like, so you spend like $3,000 per child in this state, right? New York State pays the most money for public education. We are middle of the pack in results. Middle of the pack. And so we spend a bunch of money. We have a public education. We socialize education, and the results are meh, right? So you give up control, because if I wanted to start a school, we're gonna have certain standards. You have to wear a uniform. We don't accept C's. You get a C, you get kicked out. Only B's and A's, right? Those standards will probably make better, more productive students in the future. I have control, right? Business, I have control.
Charter school.
Yeah, charter school, private school, whatever you want to call it. Or jobs. I like for industries to pretty much be allowed to operate the way they want to operate, because you have control. If I wanted to, I don't know, homelessness, right? Let's say if I wanted to create a job that would tackle the homeless problem, I don't have to have nobody vote on what I want. I don't have to have approval from Congress to do what I want to do, right? I have control. I think your side, sometimes you guys downplay how much having control matters, because when you socialize everything, you don't have no control. Now, everything you do has to go through the government. And I think it's a slippery slope, because next thing you know, you end up making arguments like, for example, if I asked you, would you want to make it impossible for anybody to become a billionaire in America? You would say what?
Wait, what?
If I asked you, would you want to make it impossible for anybody to become a billionaire in America, what would you say?
No.
Okay, so you don't have a problem with somebody, starting a company today and becoming a billionaire?
No. Why would I have a problem with that?
Well, because the argument would be, there's something you get from Bernie Sanders, that the only way to become a billionaire would be the state is not taxing you properly. For you to amass that much wealth, you're not paying taxes. So how America produces the most billionaires, and we have poverty in the streets. And so what the left says, the socialist element of the left, they would say, okay, we have to change certain laws, change tax codes, so that we are taxing the rich, probably around a 40-50% margin, and redistributing that wealth. And then 20 years from now, it becomes, well, oh, you know what? No one has to be a millionaire to live. So maybe we should increase taxes even more. I just feel like your side, Shannon, is kind of like a never-ending.
Well, I don't agree with everything that the left does, but I agree with some things. I just don't agree with everything. I don't agree with everything. So I can understand.
I get it. I get it. I was just explaining my opposition originally to Medicare for all, because it just seems like giving the state sole authority on healthcare is a horrible idea. And I still think that probably. I think I'm leaning towards the, I think it's Australia model, where they have kind of a basic coverage for all their citizens, but they still have plenty of private corporations that offer healthcare as well. I think that's where I'm leaning, instead of Medicare for all or single payer option. But yeah, so I blame you for this transformation. Now, we have Corona news here. Corona. You know, me and Shannon promised you guys we would give you the Corona news, even when the media stopped talking about it. But to my pleasant surprise, Shannon, they have not stopped.
Did you really think that the media was going to stop talking about it immediately after Biden was elected? Like, not even after he's actually in office?
Yes.
Okay, well.
I did, because
I knew that wasn't going to happen.
It no longer served a function in my mind. I believe, to a certain extent, that people used the coronavirus because they, in the media, they had a very antagonistic relationship to President Trump. So they knew the more they spoke about the media, the less Trump would do. In fact, me and you discussed this, where we think probably if the coronavirus pandemic never happened, Donald Trump would be serving a second term. It was pretty much his only flaw. I mean, he gained support with almost every demographic.
I believe that the coronavirus.
It did him in.
What?
It did him in.
Yes, I was gonna say that it was Actually, I'm gonna shut up. I'm not even gonna say it.
No, say it. Say it. Don't do that. Don't do that. What you gonna say? What you gonna say, Shannon?
I was actually gonna ask you, as somebody who's religious, you are religious, but you don't think that Trump is that horrible of a person. I was gonna say that the coronavirus, although it has been terrible and all the lives lost, but I was gonna say that it was divine intervention to uproot a devil from the office. But we can.
Okay, I see where you're going with this, Shannon. I see where you're going with this. Here's my thing. The reason why I don't think that is because, number one, I don't think God cares that much about politics. I don't. I actually did like one of my personal shows recently where I asked a question about churches getting involved with politics, and my main point was you had black people praying for Donald Trump to lose, but then you also had white people. In fact, one of Donald Trump's largest demographics of support were like white evangelicals praying for him to win. Yeah. So one of these two factions are going to be wrong. So does that mean God wasn't listening to half of you? You see what I'm saying? So I think
that's true.
That is a flawed way to look at this, Shannon. But I do not think Donald Trump is the white devil you think he is. Okay, I don't think that. All right. But look, it was his only flaw, really. As far not as a president, I'm saying it was his only flaw when it comes to winning the presidency for another term. That's what I'm saying when I say that's his only flaw. That kept him from winning the presidency, in my opinion, again, for a second term. So I thought the media, they were going to stop talking about it because it would serve no function. But to my surprise and not polite surprise, to my shocking surprise, they have continued to talk about it, though I would be critical in the way they're talking about it. I think they're just scaring the hell out of people without giving them any actual information.
Yeah. All I hear every day is that numbers are the highest they've ever been. So
yeah, but they don't tell you anything else.
No,
we got we got the vaccine news earlier this week.
Yep.
And so that's been the only talking point that I've heard on the news.
Because what else can you say about it? The vaccine is coming.
We have Shannon. We have like four things lined up about coronavirus. The vaccine.
Yeah, news, and they're all.
No, have you heard on any news program them talking about the coronavirus's impact on male fertility? I haven't.
Oh no, but wouldn't that just contribute more to public panic?
No, because it's information. For example, me and you, I think I've done a good job in telling people that this thing is serious. It's real. You should take it serious. That said, if you get it, for the overwhelming majority of you, you are not going to die. This is not Ebola, right? It's not Ebola where Shannon.
Should all be grateful for that.
Yeah, so Shannon thought that Ebola was a 90. What did you say? You was 90%?
But we already debunked that some cases can be 90% fatal. But let's all be grateful that Trump did not get handed the Ebola virus, because that would have been a disaster. I feel like.
Well, true, but also if he had the Ebola virus, his actions would not have been the same.
Who knows?
Because his own life would have been in danger.
I mean, I guess you're right.
If you had like a virus that was as contagious as coronavirus, but also had the lethality of Ebola, Shannon, everyone would have took that seriously, including Cuomo and Nancy Pelosi when they was out there in Chinatown telling people to keep partying. Bill de Blasio, who was out there telling people to keep going to the plays on Broadway. No one took this seriously. No one did. If it was Ebola, Shannon, and people was like dropping like flies like that, 50% fatality rate, Shannon, we would have had 5 stimulus packages shut down. There would have been cops and the military in the street to shoot you if you left. Nobody will be playing with Ebola. So I'm with you there. But the media is doing an awful job talking about corona for a couple of reasons. Number one, they keep only talking about fatality. Yeah. Which is not helpful because, like me and you just discussed, most people aren't going to die. Even with these super high death tolls, people don't realize there are about 250 million Americans. So if everyone got this and 1 million Americans die, that is still a super, super, super small percentage of Americans. It's part of the reason why most people don't know that many people that have died from this. You might know a person. I know 3 people that passed away from the coronavirus. 3. All of them were in the risk group, though. They were all seniors. That doesn't mean that their life was less valuable. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying most of their deaths fall in line with the data. I don't know anyone that's passed away that doesn't fall in line with the data. And the data says that this is an extremely, extremely deadly virus for those that are senior citizens and those that have comorbidities. And most senior citizens also have comorbidities, which is like a double whammy for them. But even for that demographic, Shannon, we should state that you still have around like a 90% chance to live. Now, having a 10% chance to die is still insane. But, you have a 90% chance that you live. So, there's that as well. So, us talking about coronavirus, I think has been very, very helpful because I don't think we don't try to scare people, but take it seriously, and you should know all of the latest developments that I don't think come across well on the mainstream media because they only care about the case count.
That's true.
That's it.
I feel like people would actually take it more seriously if some of this information was out there.
Yes. So you want to start good news, bad news?
I mean, there's only one piece. Let's start with the good news. No, let's start with the bad news.
Okay.
Start the bad news.
So the bad news is we have more data coming out about the coronavirus's impact on people. And there was a crazy article written. I think I read it in Fox, but it's been reported in multiple locations about the impact of coronavirus on male fertility. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I mean, it was months ago, there was some data that came out, Shannon, that went over a bunch of people's heads about how the coronavirus could be transmitted sexually because they had detected it within sperm.
Oh,
you didn't know that?
No.
Yeah, so that was data that came out, and I remember reading it and saying, "Wow, this is a game changer because now even sex is off the table."
Yeah,
it's an actual STD, and it's an STD now. So that came out first. Then, now that we have this coming out about male fertility, it takes things to a totally different level because no one is talking about the fact that you can get this thing, live, but still be dealing with the after effects for years to come. It's one of the points that the media never makes. They just talk about cases, deaths. They don't talk about the in-between, which is you live with this thing, but it strips away parts of you that you were never told it could strip you from. Male fertility, I think, is a pretty big one.
Yeah, definitely. Male fertility. That is kind of, and we had talked about this on a past podcast that, the after effects are definitely something that they're more important right now than the deaths are important too, but because more people get the virus than die from the virus, it's definitely something that we should be focusing on.
So I have the article here. I want to read a piece of it. It was Fox where I read it. It says, Researchers from the University of Miami Miller School of Medicine found that COVID-19 could impact male fertility. In a study published in the World Journal of Men's Health, researchers found that COVID-19 can invade testes tissue in some men who are infected with the virus. The belief that COVID-19 could enter the male reproductive organs may indicate that the virus could be transmitted sexually, according to the study's lead author, Dr. Wow. I don't want to offend Indian people. His name is, I'm saying it's Dr. Ranjesh Masama.
Nice.
I apologize to all Indian people.
Nice
This is
try.
not on purpose. Associate professor and director of reproductive urology at the Miller School. Researchers analyzed testes tissue from the autopsies of 6 men who died of COVID-19. They found impaired sperm function in 3 of the men and evidence of COVID-19 that had entered the male reproductive organs. So that is interesting.
Yeah.
And so it impaired sperm function.
That's crazy. So, I mean, I don't even know what to really say about that. If you needed a reason, I feel like this is a wake-up call for all the masculine men who didn't believe in wearing masks. Maybe you should now, so that your manhood isn't affected by the.
Yes. And by the way, you guys should all read this article. Later on in the article, it goes on to pretty much say that there was a guy, Shannon, who he went to the doctor for infertility issues, but he knew that he had previously had COVID-19, but he was asymptomatic for having it, tested negative as well.
Oh.
And he still had, and they still found presence of the virus inside the testes. And so they said that was the first published research to report on the case of a live patient to demonstrate the presence of COVID-19 in testes tissue.
So it lingers there even after it's passed out of your system for the most part? It just lingers?
Well, I don't know exactly, because it's saying that he went to the doctor because of infertility issues, so they did a biopsy on his testes. And he had a previous history of COVID-19. And it still, according to this article, it still showed the presence of the virus in the testes. So even after he had recovered from the virus, he still had the presence of the virus in the testes. Now, just for clarification for the audience, they don't understand that there's a difference between the virus being detectable and the virus being a live virus. So the live virus is what gets you sick, right? Mm-hmm. That's what, I cough, Shannon inhales, she gets sick.
Yeah.
But you also shed dead viruses as well. Mm. The dead virus, your body sheds usually days and weeks after you have recovered from the virus. And so people can't really get sick from that virus, but it is going to be detectable in your system.
Yeah.
So what this is showing is that, it was still detectable in his testes, even after he recovered. And now he can't be getting anybody pregnant.
Wow. Is that permanent fertility issues, or is that like something that can be fixed over time? Did it say that?
It doesn't say that in the article. Fixing male infertility is kind of a hit or miss issue, because usually for men who are infertile, it's usually like a sperm production problem where, you're not producing the amount of sperm that the average man should be producing.
Wow, guys.
I have no idea.
Think about that before you go to a party this weekend. I don't know.
No one should be doing anything. Like, the country is going through, like Shannon said earlier, record-breaking cases. Record-breaking cases. I think America is like on 6 days straight or 7 days straight where we had 100,000 Americans test positive around the country. Mm-hmm. Like, massive tests going around. And unlike in the beginning of this thing, it is not regional. So it's not like New York has the most cases right now. The rest of the country is fine. As soon as New York gets through with this, then we can move on to the rest of the country. Every part of the country is going through this at the exact same time. And so what you can't do, which we did earlier, Shannon, before we had nurses come from other places to New York City, help with New York City, and then go to other places in the country. You can't do that now because every place is experiencing this. Texas, hospitals are damn near overrun. Multiple locations in the South.
Texas is really bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Arizona. New York is experiencing our second spike right now. So this thing is everywhere. Mm-hmm. But no one is sounding the alarm. And I told you, Shannon, when you criticized Trump for not shutting in the country, I told you what did I say to you?
What did you say to me? I
I
forgot.
told you that it is easy to play Monday morning quarterback. And remember, no one did anything because doing the things you need to do to stop a virus goes against your natural inclination. Cuomo is not shutting down New York City, even though we are pretty much near the early parts of where we were before.
Yeah.
So once again, when he finally shuts down, it's going to be like 2 or 3 weeks later than what he should have done earlier.
Oh, the gyms are going to close again.
As they should, because the gyms is like one of the worst places to be. The gym is considered one of the super spreader locations. Shannon, just work out in the house. You lift weights?
Yes, I do.
To buy some weights.
I have weights. I have a whole bunch of weights that I bought at the beginning of the first one, but it's not the same.
Wait, why? So why must you be in the gym in order for you to be inspired to not get fat?
Well, because it's just better. The gym has more equipment, especially because it does. I hurt my back I hurt my back like a month ago, and my back is still hurt. Huh?
What you doing? What?
When the gyms first opened back up, and I wasn't used to the weight because it's been like 7 months. Because I lift really heavy weight when I go to the gym, but I wasn't used to it, so I did it, and I hurt I sprained a joint in my back actually, and it's still sprained, and I can't squat right now because of the injury, but I can do other things that I don't have access to in my home.
All right, fair enough. I get it. Look, this whole thing is a big inconvenience to most of us, right? No one likes lockdown, except for people who are like in the house all the time anyway. Most people want things to go back to normal, but things can't go back to normal as long as we have this virus running rampant, because it's going to tear our healthcare industry apart.
Yes, that's true.
Right. So we have the male infertility issue. We have the mental illness impact, which, by the way, this is the most obvious thing in the world, right? I'm actually kind of mad that this is going under COVID, because it's not really a COVID thing. I think it's more kind of related to the fact that
anxiety, depression, and insomnia.
Yeah.
Anxiety, depression, and insomnia are most common among recovered in this. No, that shouldn't go under COVID. I don't think so.
That's what I was about to say. That this does not seem to be something that so basically about 20% of people who recover from COVID within 90 days, they suffer from mental illness. You know, like the 3 that Shannon named were the big ones. But to me, this is not because of the virus. This is because, it's because of the virus, but it's not the virus.
Not directly because of the virus. It's causing it.
It's an indirect cause, right? And so you had the virus. You might still be suffering from it long term, right? You know, some people don't bounce back after 2 weeks. Some people get this, and it takes them a month, 2 months.
The long haulers, who've had it for months. Yes, that obviously is depression and anxiety can obviously be a direct result of having COVID for 2 months with no end in sight. Yes. But and
so I think that is a little bit misleading. You know, I get why they put it in the title because it grabs your attention, but that's misleading. But also in the article, also in the article, Shannon, they had that the study also found that people with a pre-existing mental illness were 65% more likely to be diagnosed with COVID-19 than those without. What do you make of that? That's strange.
When I read this, I was, but how does it correlate?
That's what I'm asking you.
I don't know. I'm confused by that.
I don't understand how having a pre-existing mental illness makes you more likely to contract this. Unless you're talking about people who have very, very like serious stuff. Like, for example, if you have autism, right? You know, it might be harder for you to follow directions. You know, then discipline is different for people that have autism, right? So I can understand that, but to me, that doesn't come close to explaining this 65% number. That's a giant number.
Yeah, I don't really know how that.
Giant.
I don't understand like what the science is behind that, and they don't explain it. So I don't understand.
Yeah. So this is kind of the indirect causes of having the coronavirus. Though something that is not in this article that I want to bring up is that they have also found that having the coronavirus, they believe I think for certain people, it aged their brain 10 years.
Ooh.
Yeah. 10 years.
That's crazy.
It's not only crazy. Once again, every time I read stuff like this, Shannon, it just kind of reinstills into me, this has to be from a lab. What virus you know from nature does all of this stuff?
Yeah.
This is insane.
That's kind of crazy. And honestly, if I had COVID and I was reading any of these articles, I'd be freaking super scared out of my mind as to what's going to happen to me.
You weren't scared enough to not go to the beauty parlor.
Yeah, but I was fine, clearly.
Clearly you were fine, Shannon. I'm just saying.
I'm not going to the beauty salon now that numbers are shooting up. You know,
I'm just saying. Yeah, yeah. And so we have battles all around. Now, to the good news. Go ahead, Shannon.
Yes. The good news is that Pfizer has been developing a vaccine, and the vaccine their early findings are saying that it's about 90% effective in preventing serious infections of the coronavirus.
Yes.
This is good news. Deal. Yes. It won't be available right away.
To us.
Right. So they said that they'll have about, what is the number that they said they have? Like 1 million, like something in the millions by the end of the year, but that's not enough obviously that's not enough to have widespread availability. They said that they're going to have numbers in the billions in 2021. So
yes. So that is the good news that we were saving for you guys. Though if you were paying attention, you should know this by now. Now, a 90% rate for effectiveness is insane. Yeah. People don't know this. For most flu seasons, the flu shot is only around, for a good season, you might get it up to 50, 60% effective, but nowhere near 90% effective. A 90% effective rate is staggering. Now, we don't know how long. Do you believe it? I do, because I don't think these companies will put their
credibility
on the line for anybody. Especially Trump lost, so it's not for Trump. They announced it after he lost the election. So I believe the scientists on this one that it is 90%. From what they know at this point, the study is not finished yet.
And they don't have long-term. Obviously, they haven't been doing these tests long-term, so they don't really know about any long-term effects that this vaccine might have.
That's where I was going with this. First, they don't know how long the immunity lasts, right? Mm-hmm. It has to be administered in 2 doses. Yes. And so you have to get like 1 shot, and then I think 2 weeks later or 3 weeks later,
you have to get another one.
You have to get a second shot. And so that complicates how it is to be distributed widely. Because you can't just get 1 shot and then be on your way. You have to get 1 shot, wait a couple of weeks, come back, get a second shot. We don't know how long the immunity lasts.
They were guessing a year. They guessed a year in this article, but they don't really know that.
Yeah, it's a guess. It's a guess. If it's a year, that's life changing, because it becomes like the flu virus, where you get, this vaccine year.
It's another thing to add to your immunization list yearly.
But this is what I want to ask you, though. To your point, so I was reading in an article that basically, in order for this to become approved by the FDA, they have to meet certain markers, which is, I think, once they finish the study, then they have to observe the people that took the vaccine for 2 months to check for complications and whatnot. And if there are no substantial complications, then it can be greenlit to be distributed to the public. My thing is, 2 months is a short amount of time to see for side effects.
It's not long at all, which is why I said I still do not trust it. We're going to get this. We're going to all get this vaccine, and we're going to all think that we're cured. And then 5 months later, we're going to be in an apocalyptic zone where everyone has turned into a zombie.
See, Shannon's joking. I'm terrified.
No, I'm not joking. I really think that could happen. Did you see I Am Legend? I really think that scenario. Movie. That's your favorite movie? Oh my God.
For a couple of reasons. Number one.
I hate that movie so much. But just.
What?
Because first of all, I have a fear. I don't like anything that has to do with disease. I don't like anything that has to do with disease that turn people into monsters. I don't like that, because I really think that can happen in real life. So I don't like to watch that. But that's something I believe that something like that is entirely realistic, which is why I don't like it. And I think that this is a good example of something that can happen when we jump to put something into our bodies that we don't know anything about.
But my question for you, Shannon, was this a special COVID-19 thing, the 2 months, or is this how they do all their vaccines?
No, usually I feel like I've read that other vaccines take years to develop, but this has been rushed because we're obviously in the middle of a pandemic, and it has to be rushed. Like, we don't really have time to wait 2 years or however many years to like fully understand the complications of a vaccine, because we're in the middle of a international crisis. So
this is so we have a vaccine that is 90% effective, even though the survival rate is like 99 point. But we also talked about the complications earlier, right? Like, I don't want to lose a testicle.
You don't want to catch it at all, because even if you don't die, like the complications that you could potentially suffer from might be worse than death. I don't know.
I don't like the wild, wild west nature of this virus. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like the Russian roulette element where you get it. You could be the 30% that's asymptomatic. You could be the other 30% of people who you get it, but I mean, it's not that bad at all. Mm-hmm. You could be the 20% who get it, and it's a hell of a ride. I think you could be the last percentage who gets it and ends up hospitalized. And then of those percentage of people, you end up on the ventilator. And then of the overwhelming majority of those people, you end up in the afterlife. Like, I don't like this Russian roulette element that this virus has. It makes me extremely nervous. Mm-hmm. Especially when you could be healthy and still end up fucked up, like bad.
Yeah.
I don't like that. And I don't know. It just has me thinking, because you say you're not going to take it, but so I don't get the flu vaccine. You do. But obviously the flu vaccine has been with us for years and years and years. Mm-hmm. You're not taking the corona vaccine, but I mean, that seems like
I have your mindset on that as you have on the PS5. I don't need to get it right away. You just wait a little bit.
Maybe, but do you worry? So if you were to catch this thing, how do you think you would catch it?
How do I think I would catch it?
Yeah, for me, I would have to catch it from one of them, because I'm not going to get it. No, I'm serious. I go out of my way to avoid risky behavior. Like today was the riskiest thing I've ever done. I went into a supermarket because I had to. I bought.
Who's been supplying food for your house this whole time?
My parents.
Your older parents who are more at risk than you?
Darwinism. By the way, I would like to point out that they chose to do that. Before this, I was ordering my stuff. Back when I had paper, I was ordering my stuff on what's the food delivery thing? Amazon. No, not Amazon.
HelloFresh. Amazon Fresh? Amazon.
No. What's the other one? It's not Amazon. It's the popular one. It's not Amazon. You order food from. Delivered to your house.
I don't know.
I'm trying to blink right here.
Like groceries?
Yes, you order groceries to your house. They drop it off and deliver it. I'm forgetting it, but I would order my food.
Is it HelloFresh?
No. I would order my food to be delivered to me. My groceries. That's what I would do. Now, I don't have that paper no more, so I'm going out there and risking my life in the jungle. Today was the riskiest thing I've done. No, was it? The second riskiest? Nah, I think today was riskier than taking my father to get his procedure. Yeah. So today was the riskiest thing I've done since this pandemic started, really. And so if I got this thing, most likely I would get it from one of them, right? My mom, she stays home and does Zoom school, so it wouldn't be her. My brother, he goes out to go to work, but he works in an office. He drives back, and his office, they have a lot of old people, so they only allow like 2 people in the office at a time. And other than that, they like work from home, I think. My father works in the hospital, but not as like a nurse or anything. He's in charge of the hospital equipment. So his job is, releasing equipment to the nurses, when the nurses are finished with them, bringing them back to the stores. That stuff he does. But he's around coronavirus, obviously. Now,
my mom works at a hospital too. She's come in contact with tons of coronavirus patients.
So she hasn't gotten sick, right? Mm-mm. Now, she uses PPE?
Yes.
Does she use the N95 mask?
Yes, I believe so. Or I don't know. I don't know actually what she uses when she's actually there. She's a radiologist, so she's not like super in people's business, but she has come in contact with a few. But I don't know what.
Yeah, obviously. But yeah. So we're kind of in the same boat. So if I got it, I think I would get it from my father, because contrary to popular belief, most people don't actually get this in like the supermarket or.
No, they get it from contact with people most of the time.
Yeah, over a period of time. And
yeah.
So like if you're in a supermarket, yeah, you might be around people for like a half hour, but you're like walking. You're not around just one person. You're walking. If your supermarket is responsible, you will have masks. You're not. But
if that's the case, then people are probably are getting it from like touching things then, and like touching their mouth and face like without washing their hands first.
Maybe. I mean, most people don't get this from fomites either, though. That was something that they said earlier in the pandemic, but then the CDC changed their guidelines and said that, based on the evidence that they have, the overwhelming majority of people get this from human-to-human contact. And in super spreader events, I think they said most coronavirus cases come from a minority of super spreader events. So there's like these small events that are responsible for 85% of the transmission. Graduations, weddings, the gym, things like that, where a multitude of people are inside of a confined space for a period of time. Then they all get infected, and they go out and infect their households. That's how most people get infected. It's not usually, going to the grocery store, you get the virus.
Is a gym still a super spreader location now that they're required to have a specific kind of ventilation? Or is it now more, you think, like smaller social gatherings in people's houses where they don't have adequate ventilation and they're just all around each other?
It is definitely the small social gatherings in people's houses that is responsible for the latest upticks in coronavirus cases in New York City anyway. I totally believe that. Because who wants to wear a mask in their own house?
No one wears a mask.
Now, that said, you shouldn't be inviting strangers to your house. I think that's irresponsible.
I know, but people are doing it. I see it all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Not strangers, but, people.
So me and you agree that we would probably both get this thing from our parents.
No, I could probably get it too, but I feel like not really. My brother. No. First of all, if we were getting it from anyone, it would be from my brother, because he's been running around, living his wild life. He was in LA for a month, came home, didn't get a test.
Your family's too lax with him. I would have told him, you can't come inside, man. I love you.
Well, first they were telling him that, and then they let him come inside, and then they didn't mind that he said he wasn't getting tested. And I'm just like, why won't you just get tested? And he just didn't want to for some reason. I don't know. Then I got a test just to make sure, because I figured like if he did have it, then I would obviously get it because we lived in the same house. So I got a test and I didn't have it. So I was like, all right, so I guess you don't have it, but still.
That's whatever. Crazy. Is he like a corona denier?
No, he's not a corona denier. I don't know what his reason was for not doing it, but he didn't.
Is he like the people that refuse to get STDs tests because they just don't want to know?
I don't know. Maybe.
That's pretty bad, man. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. Yeah. So that is your corona news for this week. I'm sure with the way things are going and the irresponsibility by all of those in power in this country, we will definitely.
But wait, we didn't talk about. Have we been talking for an hour already? Because we didn't talk about the black market negative tests. I feel like that's kind of crazy. We don't have.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yes, the black market thing. So. Whenever there's prohibition, whenever there is, I don't know, laws which require people to, if they don't do X, then they can't get Y. Whenever that comes up throughout history, black markets pop up, right? They popped up when it came to the prohibition of alcohol. They've been around with drugs. We know that. Women have been using black markets for years on pregnancy tests and ultrasounds.
Body parts. Kidneys,
body parts. Shannon's totally right. Body parts, getting extra hands, kidneys, and spleens and stuff. So this should have been obvious, but still, when I read it, I couldn't believe what I was reading. Couldn't believe it, because it didn't come into my consciousness that a black market would emerge related to the coronavirus, more specifically, the coronavirus prevention methods.
I didn't know that it was a real thing. I didn't believe it when I was looking at it. I was like, this is something that people are doing, but whatever. The more I thought about it, the more that it resonated with me that this is very believable. It is.
Well, it's not that it's just believable. It is also the fact that it is more complicated than these are some selfish bastards trying to game the system.
Which is the mindset I had when I first read it.
Shannon immediately went to these people don't care about people's health. What's wrong with them? They selfish. I had that first urge as well, but then when I thought about it, I thought this is a lot more complicated than my knee-jerk reaction would lead me to believe. And so apparently there's a black market for negative COVID-19 tests that's popped up across the globe as more countries require travelers to prove their negative status before entering. And so in France, 7 people were arrested last week for allegedly hawking doctored coronavirus tests at Charles de Gaulle, whatever that's called, International Airport, the AP reported. The suspects who were not identified were charging up to $360 for the fake test. And so in various locations, and this is true in America as well, where, for example, in New York State, if you come to New York State from one of the hot zones, you have to quarantine for a couple of days, and they're not just taking your word for it. I believe what they do is they get your contact information, and if you have like an iPhone, they FaceTime you at random times, right, to see if you are in your house. They do that. They also send people by your house randomly to check and see if you're home as well.
Wait, who does this?
New York State.
They do?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They are not playing with y'all.
I thought you were still talking about France. Wow, I didn't know that they did that here.
Yep, they are not playing in New York State. If you come to New York State from any of the hot zones in the country, you have to quarantine for 14 days, and they will check on you randomly, whether that be via FaceTime on your iPhone and ask for you to show.
What if you left New York State and came back? Are they doing that to you too?
Yeah, you left.
They didn't do that to my brother when he came back from LA. I wish they did though.
He used a plane?
Huh? Yeah.
When was this?
When was he gone? I want to say August.
Oh, then you're not doing your neighborly. You're not doing your citizen duties, Shannon.
What am I supposed to do?
You're supposed to call the number and tell them about your brother. But you ain't gonna do that. So now we go down that
I gotta snitch on my own brother.
That's right. Hey man, sacrifices have to be made. But now that once I read this article, I was like, this is so obvious. Like, no doubt people are doing this, but it never even crossed my mind that this would happen. And it begins to show you kind of the limits that you can go to when it comes to lockdowns and quarantine mandates and things of that nature, because with technology, there's always going to be a way for somebody to try and get around certain lockdowns, right? Even if this didn't exist, right? Somebody might have wanted to take a plane into New York City, but then they heard the, Cuomo's orders about quarantine. And so instead, they just fly near New York City and then drive into New York City. It's a lot harder to quarantine somebody that drove into your city. Shannon froze.
Yeah.
She froze.
You froze.
Okay, I see you now, Shannon.
You froze.
That's not on my video show, but whatever. Go ahead.
You froze too. It was you.
I was moving smooth. I was moving smooth.
You were moving. I was moving smooth, and you weren't. You were freezing.
Okay. Well,
are you back?
Yes, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can.
Yeah. So
again. Wait.
Uh-oh. We're having problems, people. We're having problems. All right, hold on. Let me see something. I don't know what's going on. This is weird for me. Shannon's being stuck in these awkward positions.
It's not me.
I think it's my side, but I'm showing myself smooth. I am. I'm smooth. I look smooth. Are we near being okay? It matters more if you can hear me than if I'm moving as fluid as a. Are we back?
Are we?
Yeah, we're back.
Okay.
That was weird. I don't know what happened. This is the second time it's happened to us doing this podcast. Second time. I don't know what went wrong, but cool. Okay, so we left off talking about the black market, and my point was that what this article by the New York Post showed is that there's a limit to how much you can really crack down on people because there's always ways to get around these laws. And so somebody who wants to get around Cuomo's, mandatory quarantine, even if there weren't these little COVID kits that they were selling, these fake COVID kits, what you would do is you would fly near New York City, Shannon, and then just take a car into New York State. Problem solved. And so it's increased. And this is why I understand people saying that the only way to really tackle the coronavirus is to take a national approach because there's a limit to what you can do regionally. Now, I'm not sure if I'm buying that argument 100%, but articles like this kind of expose how limited you are when you can only control your one state.
Yeah.
So
I didn't know that though. But it's kind of the whole black market thing. It just feels very icky.
Why?
Because I mean, the point that you made earlier, I guess I understand. People can't afford to people can't afford to quarantine for 14 days. But I thought they changed it. I thought now you have to provide a negative. Oh, right. I thought now you had to provide a negative test. You have to do that in addition to quarantine for 14 days.
Nah. In New York State, you have to quarantine because, once again,
I thought they changed it. I thought Cuomo changed it, and now you have to provide a negative test after and before entry. Didn't he change it?
He might have changed that. If he did, I missed that order. I could have sworn it was that you have to quarantine because COVID-19 has such a long incubation period.
I'm looking it up now. Let's see.
Yeah, Shannon's doing journalism, and I thought it was. Yeah, because it has such a long incubation period, you don't know when you would have gotten it if you're traveling. And so you have to quarantine from the time you get into New York State. That's what I thought the order was. So maybe you read something differently than I did, Shannon, but that ain't what I read.
Okay, wait, hold on. What's this article? What's the date on this article? Okay, November 12th. Travelers must get tested within 3 days prior to landing in New York. Mm-hmm. Quarantine for at least 3 days upon arrival and get a test on day 4 of arrival.
Okay, got you. All right, so they did change the mandate. All right, so you have to quarantine for 3 days. Yeah, no. All right, so this is less of a problem.
Which is a lot more reasonable than 14, because no one has that much time. Like, if you're still working, no one has time to go somewhere and have to sit there for 14 days before you can even do anything.
Yeah, I'm assuming that the 14-day amount was because that was back when New York State didn't have the testing available.
Yeah, so I mean, I get it. It's just not, I mean, I guess the whole thing is to deter people from traveling because it's not realistic, really, for most people to be able to sit around 14 days and then be able to enjoy themselves or whatever they're doing to whatever extent. But this is a lot more reasonable.
Yeah, it is. It is. I agree with you that this is reasonable. 3 days. If you can't hack 3 days, then don't come to New York State. Sorry. We don't need you. We don't need you here. We don't need you. So that is the corona news for this week. Back to you, Shannon.
Other news.
I'm working my news voice. Back to you, Shannon.
In other news, Trump is a 74-year-old man in a baby's diaper who won't concede the election and has to be dragged out, kicking and screaming like a child.
All right, so here's the thing. Trump not conceding is damaging the country. It is.
Yes.
For numerous reasons. Number one, he just continues to suck up just our collective well-being, right? I was looking forward to this election being over so I could just move on from constantly being bombarded with news 24/7, the obsession with Trump. And so he's extending how long we would have to suffer under those conditions, number one. Number two, he is he's claiming that there was mass voter election fraud during this election, and that because of that, he won the election easily, and Biden is an illegitimate presidency. Right now, going into this, I've said for weeks, you have both sides saying that you couldn't trust the outcome of the election. People forget Joe Biden was saying the exact same thing.
He was
talking about, that Trump was going to do some crazy thing. So Joe Biden was sowing the seeds of mistrust in the election process, as was Donald Trump. Now, Joe Biden won, so people forget that Joe Biden was, telling people that this election will be illegitimate.
Yeah, but I don't think that Joe Biden is contesting a recount or contesting like
he won.
I know he won, but I'm just saying like he's not throwing up his fists in arms like no, I won, like don't recount the votes. Like
because he won though.
Yes.
If he lost, I don't think if he lost, I believe he would explore similar attitudes.
Yeah, but isn't he open? But what I'm saying is, doesn't he have a generally open attitude towards a recount or whatever they need to do because he's confident that they're not going to find anything?
Yes, totally agree.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I believe,
but that's fine. Mm-hmm.
No, it ain't fine because once again, people don't follow these things the way you think they do, Shannon. Meaning, people who are listening to Trump when he said that this election is illegitimate, they hear Trump, right, and he's demanding a recount. And he gets the recount. They're not going to say once the recount is finished, okay, well, now we accept the presidency. The mistrust in the system, some of it valid, is already there, Shannon.
So what do you think is going to happen? How do you think that Trump is eventually going to leave office? Do you think that he's going to have to be forcefully removed? Because I would like to see that happen.
No, not going to happen. He's not going to be forcibly removed because he's going to accept the results of the election eventually. Now, he might not acknowledge that he lost. He might say that, that Joe Biden rigged this election, the Democrats rigged this election, and still step down. And so you're not going to have the transfer of peace that you had previously, but he's not going to remain in the office, and then have to be removed by the military kicking and screaming. That's not going to happen.
It would be funny to watch, though. That would be very entertaining. I would like to see that happen.
Maybe, but it wouldn't be entertaining for the country because
I mean, I guess. But anyway,
hold on. Who would the military listen to? Because technically speaking, until Biden is sworn in, Trump is still the president.
You froze again.
Really? I'm fine. Can you hear me?
Now I can hear you. Okay. I think maybe we're good now. You froze for a second, though.
Oh. I'm just saying, who would the military listen to?
I don't know. It's true. Didn't what's his face in the military say that he's ready to remove Trump?
Who said that, Shannon?
Somebody said that.
Imagining things.
A high-ranking military official. Look it up.
Who? Anonymous? Some anonymous person?
No, not some anonymous person. Let's see. Let me look up the quote and see if anything comes up.
Shannon's looking. She wishes this was true.
No, I read this.
All right, Shannon, go ahead. Let's all hear this fake news. Go ahead. What happened?
I gotta find it. I'll have this information
fake
for you next
week.
It's not fake news. I read it.
That's your nickname.
No, it's not.
Fake news, Shannon.
I swear to God, somebody said that.
Okay, I'm sure they did. A friend of yours, Shannon. Yeah.
No, I read it.
Shannon is now actively,
Listen. I read it. First of all, I worked in news for 5 years. I know a credible news source and a non-credible news source. So I'm not over here reading. Articles from getthumped.com. I don't know. That's a real website, by the way.
Getthumped.com.
Yeah. It's like a Trump, satire website.
Oh, okay. It's like, okay. It's like The Onion. The Onion? Is that the name of the website? The Onion?
Yeah, The Onion. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like The Onion. So Trump not conceding is not shocking, but it is damaging the country. And I was explaining to Shannon before we started recording that I don't think people on the left realize what's going on social media, right? Which is, I follow everybody. I follow liberals, I follow conservatives, I follow everyone because I want to know what everyone is thinking and talking about. And I don't think people on the left on social media realize that people on the right side of social media are getting different information that makes the likelihood of a Trump, I don't know, pulling a rabbit out the hat win seem like a plausible conclusion. And so they're getting, just to fill you guys in, what they're getting articles that are stating that multiple people are coming forward, signing affidavits saying that there was election fraud. Project Veritas has an interview with the guy who claims that he was working counting ballots for the and that there was some, I don't know, some less than honorable things taking place there. And so you have these parallel narratives. On the left, this election was fair and free. On the right, there was some shenanigans that took place. And the right is getting that side of the argument. And so from the left perspective, it looks like the right are just some sore losers who just refuse to accept the process. But that's not the case. They're getting separate information.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not speaking on how credible it is. I'm just letting you know that this thing is real. This information is real, and that's the lens that they're viewing this thing through. So that's what I wanted to make sure that I spoke about today.
You know what? It's fine. The right can think whatever they want. They can produce whatever evidence they have, but whatever. But if the court dismisses the case, then we're all cool, which they have dismissed a couple. They dismissed lawsuits in Georgia and in Michigan so far. So
yeah, but this is not cool, Shannon, for multiple reasons. It's not cool because I've been beating this like a drum that one of the problems that we're having in this country is information. It is getting very, very difficult for smart people to decipher real news from fake news. Mm-hmm. Very difficult. Most of us believe fake news in some way, shape, or form, but we just refuse to believe that it is actually fake news. We think it's the truth. And so there's like a normal level of that, and then it seems to be expanding and growing. And I don't think enough conversation is being had around that problem, because if you cannot, if you can't produce information that is believed by the public, you can't have a democracy.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. And so it's a huge issue. No one's talking about it really. I don't know what the solution is. And it's getting worse because of the Parler app that I've been a part of, by the way, for the last 3-4
okay, so
months.
First,
go ahead, Shannon. Sorry.
I just found out what this. I just found out what this was. I didn't know about it. I've never heard about it before I saw it on the news. Parler is it's kind of like Twitter, right? I don't know. I don't have it, but it kind of like caters to conservatives.
Yeah. So Parler is like in between Facebook and Twitter, right? The reason I say that is because you can upload videos as long as you want. Right. Mm-hmm. So Twitter, you're going to upload 2 minutes and 20 seconds of video, right? On Parler, it could be as long as a YouTube video. Mm-hmm. They have like 1,000 characters, so you can type pretty much a lot more in a single. It's not called a tweet in a single parley. So yeah, it's in between Facebook and Twitter. It's given the label of the conservative Twitter because it is very popular amongst conservative circles right now. Though it started out just strictly as kind of a free speech platform, right? Kind of like Gab, but like the Twitter version of Gab. And I joined 2 or 3 months ago because I think big tech is the enemy of the people. I've been saying that for months now. By the way, nothing that I've seen in the past couple of months has changed my mind about this at all, Shannon. In fact, everything that I've seen since that point has just kind of emboldened my belief that big tech is the enemy of the people.
I mean, I don't think anyone disagrees with you when you say that, though.
You disagree, Shannon.
No, I don't. I never said I disagree with you.
You won't join my side. Now, here's the thing. So I joined Parler because I was seeing Twitter do things that I didn't like, that they were kicking people off for things that I did not see as, expulsion offenses, right? Like, Shannon, I got locked out of my Twitter account because I used the word coon. Now, I wasn't calling anyone a coon. I just use it in, talking about something. And I got locked out for 12 hours. Coon. I've seen people on Twitter use the F word, the N word. I don't know if Shannon's frozen or not, but I'm gonna keep talking. They use the F word, the N word. They've used calling people bitches and hoes. I've seen all of that. Not once have I seen people complaining about getting.
You back?
You know what? we should take this as a God's sign that he don't want us to be great. And because this only happens when I do my show with Shannon. It doesn't happen any other time. It doesn't happen any other time.
That's what like I put in the doc what your face froze on. It's very funny.
Oh, crazy. I was making a phenomenal point, by the way. A phenomenal point about big tech. I forget where I left off, but basically, yeah, big tech is a huge problem for us, and that's my main issue. So I joined part. Oh yeah, I got kicked off using Coon.
Jabia, I can't hear you. You froze again.
How? We're gonna rush this to a close. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I have to update my Zoom app. I don't know if there's like an update for this, but
I think you need to hardwire your you need to get an Ethernet cord and just patch it into your router because your internet.
You're right. I mean, I switched to my phone now because I think the Wi-Fi is fucked up, so I switched to my phone internet.
Oh, you're using a hotspot?
Now I wasn't before.
You should just get it. Just how far away is your router?
It's in my mother's room.
How is that far? Get a long Ethernet cord and just plug it into your computer.
Oh, I don't have an Ethernet cord on my Mac.
All right. I think they make converters though. You can get like an Ethernet to USB-A or USB-C adapter. I think. Can you?
I'll look into it. I'll look into it because this is annoying me. But basically, my point was, I got kicked off Twitter for using Coon. I've seen people use words way worse than that. I wasn't calling anyone a coon in particular. I was using it to describe something. I got kicked off for 12 hours. I think big tech is the enemy of the people. Shannon claims she agrees with me, but she's never on my side in any of these issues for some reason. So I joined Parler.
Yes, I
am. I joined Parler because I was worried that I might get kicked off Twitter one day. And by the way, I wanted to help Parler be a success because we should all be rooting for competition to these tech companies, right? It is never healthy when one entity has a monopoly over an entire industry. It is never healthy. The problem is these companies grow so large that all they do is they buy up any new challenger that they have. That's how Facebook ended up owning Instagram. Facebook bought Instagram. They bought the WhatsApp as well, and they're just going to keep buying any competition to a Facebook. Twitter is probably going to do the same thing.
But can you really say that that's big tech's fault? Because I mean,
yes,
I guess
big tech's fault.
I mean, it is big tech's fault. But these companies, the owner of Instagram didn't have to sell to Facebook.
No, I'm with you, but this is why we have certain laws, where they break up monopolies because to a certain extent, these things become predictable. So if I'm an up and coming creator of an app, Shannon, and Facebook offers me, $600 million, the overwhelming majority of people are going to sell that company to Facebook to collect the money and then move on and start some other venture, right? That's predictable. And so what the government does is they come in with certain laws in which it makes it more difficult for big corporations, Shannon's frozen again, big corporations like Facebook to do that. I'm not frozen. I'm watching you.
You're frozen, but like you're frozen.
I'm not freezing. Whatever. Anyway, my point is, the Parler app I joined because I wanted to help the app because I want competition, and I will say it is kind of scary because it's becoming the right wing Twitter. Because Twitter is left wing and insane in other ways in which you probably disagree that it's insane. I think it's insane, but the Parler is becoming a right wing Twitter, and so all you have is conservatives in there saying and sharing similar beliefs. It goes down some crazy rabbit holes. That said, I do think it's still a net positive because it is competition for Twitter.
Okay, I mean I understand that, but I don't really like the company that's floating around in there. But whatever. I don't have one, so it's all good.
Yeah, you don't have anything except Instagram, which is wild to me.
I mean, I have Facebook, but that's not relevant.
Yeah. Everyone has Facebook.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't have a Twitter. No, I tried to make one once, but I just couldn't get on board. I don't know.
Why not?
I don't know. I just couldn't.
You couldn't find followers?
Yeah, maybe.
Whatever. It just seems wild to me that the app that you do have is Instagram, which is normally reserved for people who are, let's just say, less intelligent.
Okay. I mean, I don't agree with that, but whatever.
No, I think it's pretty much true. I think they've done studies that show that, like people who use Twitter, they read more books. They enjoy speaking and talking more than Instagram, which is kind of reserved for people who, like to post pictures of their ass and thirst traps and whatnot.
Okay. I mean, I read a lot of Reddit, so I still read. Thank you.
Reddit is the worst. That's way worse than Parler. But anyway, Reddit is the worst. We are going to end the show here because I don't like that my internet keeps fucking up and making this weird. I want to thank Shannon.
I was going to say, I think it's a good time to throw in the towel, Jabia.
Yes, I want to thank Shannon for sticking with me through my third world internet. And yeah, I'm gonna try to get this fixed. I'm gonna try.
Jabia will have an Ethernet cord by next week.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get me an Ethernet cord to help with this. But look, thank you guys once again. I hope we gave you guys some knowledge and information. Shannon, is there anything else you would like to say before we wrap this up?
No. I think I'm good. I'm gonna continue my search for a PlayStation.
I was just
update you next week.
She's fidgeting. She's fidgeting. She cannot wait to go back to. She can't wait to go back. So, yes. And as for me, look, you guys can follow me on Twitter, Instagram. My information is in the show notes, as will Shannon's. The articles will be linked in the show notes as well. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on iTunes and Spotify. And we will see you next time. Deuces.